What's going on YouTube? H-Dub here, and we playing Raid, and today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite champions. He was actually my favorite champion before I pulled my current favorite champion, Harima, which is naked at the moment because we got to show this guy with all of his potential, and that champion is Mr. Staltus Dragonbane. Alright, now Staltus I've already done a video on. I showcased him against the Nether Spider just because of how broken he is there. He is amazing there because of his passive. But let's take a look at his kit. Not to mention he looks great. Let's look at his kit though. Right now on the A1, attacks one enemy 2 times. If the target is under any debuff, each hit decreases the target's turn meter by 10%. A2, attacks all enemies 2 times. Each hit has a 50% chance of placing a stun for 1 turn. On his A3, places a increased defense buff on himself for 3 turns. Then attacks all enemies, has a 75% chance of placing a 25% decreased crit damage on enemies whose attack is higher than their defense, and also has a 75% chance of placing a 30% decreased speed debuff for 2 turns on enemies whose attack is equal to or lower than their defense. Passive ability: whenever an enemy attempts to place a weakened debuff, a decreased defense debuff, or a poison on this champion, reflects them back onto the attacker. Damage increases by 5% for each debuff on the target. So this guy has an amazing kit. He also has an amazing aura, increase allied defense in all battles by 30%. But let's just talk about some of the places where we can use this champion. Obviously, we can use him in PvP content. I was using him in 3v3, gold 4 3v3 for a long time. I don't really use him there much anymore just because I have better champions now, but he was my main nuker in Classic Arena for a little bit, as well as in the team that I favored the most for 3v3. Now, you can also use him in the Doom Tower. He's also great for wave clearing. He is an amazing champion overall wherever you choose to use him. He can also double as a spider tank for you. So if you have pulled this champion early and you're looking to progress the dungeons, you should definitely invest in this guy. And I'm gonna show you why you can use him pretty much everywhere, right? Right now, obviously, I have him in some pretty broken gear, right? So you might not be able to achieve these stats, but just go for these stats, right? Attempt to achieve these stats and you will be fine, all right? He's a bit slow at the moment, 170 speed, but we got 7k defense, decent HP. Crit cap will over the cap at the moment, 272 on the crit damage, and a little bit of accuracy just because he does need accuracy in order to reflect this back. I have tested this against the Nether Spider. He does need accuracy in order to reflect that poison back. He also is going to need accuracy to reflect those poisons back in the spider dungeon, right? But you can use him as a spider tank. Anywhere there's a spider putting up poisons, this guy is your go-to. But let's take a look at what he can do in some of the dungeons, right? So let's take him into Dragon first, right? If you're in the early, mid game, what have you, push this guy. You're trying to get faster Dragon times. My fastest time on stage 20 is 21 seconds, and I used Staltus. Now, full disclosure, I won't showcase the original team that I used for this just because people are gonna be like, oh, I don't have, you might not have Royal Guards, you might not have multiple copies, you might not have them in Savage, you might not have this, you might not have that. So we can take a look at this comp. Obviously, we got Staltus, we got Kaimar here. You can use any reset champ. If you got a Painkeeper, you can use that even. It'll be slower. If you got a Renegade, you can use that. It'll be better than using Painkeeper. Obviously, we got Draco more for decreased defense weaken, but there are other champions that you can use for decreased defense weaken. Like I believe Spider is an epic one that does decreased defense weaken. There are other champions. I mean, you might not have Lydia yet, but there are options. Obviously, Royal Guard is the best way to go for Dragon just because he has the ability to place a decreased defense on his A1 so that when you get to the boss, you can have decreased defense up just in case, you know, Draco doesn't take an extra turn if you've got him in Relentless or what have you, if you even have a Draco. But let's take a look at just what this comp, like the potential that you have, and we'll talk about some other substitutes for these champions. But obviously we're here to talk about Staltus. So let's go ahead and take a run with this. I haven't seen what this can do. I haven't, you know, ran this, but the premise is the same. We want enemy max HP champs. We want to get decreased defense, weaken up, right? Just so we can make sure we're doing the maximum amount of damage. And then we want to smack the waves, right? You have Staltus just smacking these waves. This is something that you can do. We got 3% in here. So boom, that's going to slow up the run a little bit, but Staltus is going to come back around for us. This actually helps us a little bit so that Draco can come back around, get decreased defense up. Obviously, they're wasting the Heart Seeker right there. That's not great for us. But maybe we get a reset from Kamar. They can come back around with it, and it can still be a decent run for you, right? So the preset obviously was trash for this, but it's fine. Now we get crazy damage there from the Cold Heart, right? So let me just go ahead and fix this preset, see if we can't get a faster run without getting 3%. And you guys can, you know, get an idea for how fast the comp can be, right? But you want to be bringing in at least someone that plays decreased defense. If you don't have a decreased defense and weakened champion, you want a reset champion, you want 2 enemy max HP champions, and you want a Staltus. But you don't need Staltus for this. You can, you know, you can just run multiple enemy max HP champions in here with resets and decreased defense and just get through it. Because once you get to the boss, it's going to be easy. You get that decreased defense up on the boss, enemy max HP champs are just going to wipe the boss down. Like they're going to wipe them down completely. Obviously, he didn't clear that wave there, but it's fine, right? We're coming back around. Boom, a Cold Heart's going to take a turn. That's only slowing up the run, but it's fine. We got 3% on weaken on that guy, so didn't get the max damage. So that's what it'll look like with him in very good gear if, you know, you don't have a champ that also places weaken. But here we're going to get a big smack from Cold Heart. Boom, and then boom, and then it's done, right? You could do this in like 30 seconds or so plus. It's going to be sub 1 minute, guys. Trust me. But he is a decent wave clear. You can use him to clear waves there. I said that you can also use him as a spider tank. I don't have a team set up for that at the moment. This is the team that I use to do Spider 20. It's like super fast, right? 9-second team. But say you don't have Cold Hearts, you don't have Royal Guards, you don't have decreased defense weaken, you don't have reset, right? You can bring in some combination of this, right? Now the boss is Spirit Affinity. Say you got your Staltus in. Say you do have some HP burn champs, right? You got Akoth the Seared, right? So let's see, where's Akoth? Let's just try to throw something in with him and see if, you know, what we can do, guys. I don't know how this is gonna go. So if it looks terrible, you know, don't laugh too hard at me. But he's negative affinity, so he's gonna be helping us out. We can bring in, you know, these two guys here, and they'll help us out a ton with turn meter control. And then, you know, we can bring in, let's see, I don't know, we can bring in a Renegade, right? We can bring in a Renegade, why not? And this obviously isn't the best option. The better option would be to be bringing a freeze champ in here. But this is if you don't have one. You can use Staltus as a tank, right? We got some turn meter control. We got HP burn. And we have someone to tank. Right? The place where he really shines, though, is in, you know, PvP. All right. So he has some decent, you know, multipliers. You can bring them in. We can take a look at some teams. You know, obviously, a lot of these teams are built crazy at the moment. And obviously, I'm going to be using some OP champs that you might not have. Full disclosure, because I already know someone's going to be like, oh, he used Siffy. Oh, he used this. Oh, he used, you know, Warlord, what have you. It is okay, guys. There are other options in here, right? If you already got your Arbiter missions done, great. Use your Arbiter. Bring in a decreased defense champ. I'm not even bringing in a decreased defense champ, right? If I brought in a decreased defense champ, he would completely wipe them no problem, right? So we're not using decreased defense. This guy puts up his own increased defense, so you don't need a Siffy. All you need is someone to turn meter boost for you. So even if you're using Spirit Host or High Katoon, any of that, he's putting up increased defense on himself, on his nuke ability. So very versatile as a nuker, right? Now, the team that we're about to face has a Duchess, right? He's weak affinity for Duchess, but it is fine. We're still going to try to come in and do what we can. Let's see how much damage he does. So some decent damage there. We did not one-shot everybody, but yeah, this guy is not, he's not barren, right? But he's going to get the job done for you. We got the Nutcracker over here, who's very annoying champion, but it's fine. We're just going to let this go on auto. See how much damage Staltus can do. Boom. He took him out. Took out the Necrit. It's fine. Let's go ahead and tag up Pythion one time. Pythion down. And this is obviously not the fastest farm. Siffy revive. She's going to revive again after she spins around and does that. Come on with the revive. Boom. He's gone. And now we just got to take down the Duchess, but he's weak affinity, so could take a minute, could take whatever. This is not the fastest farm, but I'm just showing you that he does do some damage, guys. I used this champion in the arena for a long time. Everybody who asks me what to do with it, yes, build this guy. Trust me. He is going to be useful for you everywhere, especially if you're in the early game, especially if you're in the mid game. Just because he's force affinity for one, is overwhelming. There's an overwhelming amount of champions in the early game that are magic affinity. There are more magic affinity champions in the game than any other affinity. So this guy already is, he's already bringing a lot to the table. Without even looking at his kit, he's already bringing a lot to the table. Force defense-based nuker. He's not attack-based, so he does have some survivability, right? But let's go get that increased defense up, and he just wipes the team. These are speed teams that you're going to be seeing in the early and mid game. These are the teams that are just going to, fight. They're going to be so frail, you're just going to be able to farm them, right? Most of those teams are going to be speed teams, right? Here we go. Another speed team here, right? Temp chains there. They've also got blah, 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 whatever that I don't even remember that blessing right there. But they could be faster than us. I don't know if this guy is faster than me or not. My champs aren't the fastest champs. Champs close to 500 speed now. But we're going to go. Kimmy's going to go. Decrease our turn meter. That sucks, but it's fine. We cut in, and then Staltus will nuke, right? Because this is a speed team. Speed teams do not stand a chance, right? Against most nukers nowadays. Most nukers, you can go in, beat a speed team really easily. Now, the tankier teams, right? Those Duchess teams, Brogni teams, Mortu teams. No, you don't want to be bringing Staltus against a Mortu, right? You don't necessarily want to be bringing him against a Duchess, but it's fine. Helicat as well. These other guys, these super tanky teams, you really don't want to be bringing him in there. We can showcase against this team here because he has a multi-hit A1, could potentially take this Rotos down without a problem, depending on if they have Bolster on their team or Shield on their team right now. Is going to, make the difference whether we can really do this. All right, so boom. We got that there. We're going to take that. And we're not going to use his nuke first. What we're going to do first is we're going to use his A1 and try to take out this Rotos. And we did, right? Because we know you need a multi-hit ability to take out Rotos. All right, boom. He resisted he resisted Warlord, but it's okay. Obviously, Duchess is doing her thing right now. We're going to try to, all right, he didn't resist that time. It is fine. He has a multi-hit on his A2 that can also take down this Rotos, and it does. Now, these guys are super tanky. We've got damage mitigation from 2 champions on this team. I'm going to go ahead and slap it on auto and see how long it takes us to beat this team because we will beat them. Yeah, so that was a ridiculously long fight. Obviously, like I said, you don't want to be bringing him against Duchess ideally. Also, this team has a ton of damage mitigation with Pythion and Duchess, right? Got sheeps here, sheeps there, sheeps all around, all right? Just not the ideal comp to be going up against, but that is where we use Staltus, guys, in the game. If you know, I've already done a guide with using him in Doom Tower and where he shines in the Doom Tower, so you can go check that out. I'm gonna put it in the, you know, in a little thingy up there for you to check out as well. But oh, didn't show the Masteries. Oh my God, no wonder he wasn't doing any damage. I still got him in the Masteries from these are the Masteries that I use when I use him in Doom Tower, guys. So no wonder he wasn't doing any damage in Arena. He doesn't have damage Masteries right now. So these aren't the ideal Masteries that you want to be putting on him. I'm not going to reset them right now. Looks like I'm going to have to wait until CVC, which is like 2 weeks away. But these are the Masteries that I use on him for Doom Tower. Accuracy tree, plenty of heals. When I run him in Doom Tower, I'm running him in an Immortal set, right? Immortal and Regen. Also, when you use him in the Spider Dungeon, you're going to probably want to be running him in a shield set or some sort of set where he is healing, right? So Immortal works fine. You know, any of that fast Immortal is going to work fine. He can decrease the turn meter on that boss for you. But these are the Masteries that you're probably going to want to go with something similar to this and down the attack tree, actually the offense tree, so that you can be doing War Master damage against the boss. You might want to go Helm Smasher for PvP, but I'll quickly share the Masteries that you could be using for the damage build right now. So here are the Masteries that you're going to want to go with. If you want to use him in PvP for a damage build, you're going to want to go with something like this, down into Helm Smasher. Of course, you can go to defense tree to get damage mitigation and counterattack. You could go support tree to increase his accuracy a bit because of his passive. He is going to be able to reflect that, you know, decreased defense debuff from Madam Saris or anybody else that could be on the opposing side. If it's a long battle, if you know you're not nuking them down quickly, or maybe they go first. But I do have different Masteries on right now just for the purpose of Doom Tower, because that's where I was using him this past rotation. But thank you for watching, guys. Until next time, I hope you learned something. Sorry about the Masteries. He would have done a ton more damage, but until next time, guys, be good and be well.